Wait,
I
what
want
did that say? Teacher, the test will be what?
as easy as drinking water.
I was looking at my phone. I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
Let me see it again. Oh, the African kid. Oh, okay. I missed the punchline.
You
All
ruined it for everyone.
right.
Also,
Yeah, sorry, guys.
R.I.P.
Nick chose that video, just saying.
I did.
So this video was my idea tonight.
Completely and entirely.
Rob
argued against
tried
it
to Rob
quite a
tried to
bit.
talk me out of it.
I have the text and receipts to prove it.
This was completely my idea.
Did I make the thumbnail though? You're right, I did.
And the strange thing is that I actually all right. So I was going to comment.
Maybe this video is going to bring people back.
I told you.
We found the niche market.
For anyone who was here on Tuesday, do you remember Anthony saying stuff about how he doesn't want to do things for clicks, for views, for subs?
It was a great 48-hour resolution.
This morning, I get a text, 3:30 a.m. He goes, "I think I know how we can get out of the rut and get views, guys."
E-girls.
All right, I have reasons for my madness. Okay, it's. Yes, all right, I get it. All right, guys. I'm not
Catholic
even
e-girls.
Okay, so the thing is, I didn't necessarily want to do this video, but you guys are the worst. But no, a bunch of stuff like kind of came to my mind over it, and we're not attacking Amber. We are going to play the clip that somebody posted. But I have there are criticisms of her, but there's also ways that like just what we're doing online. I have a lot of thoughts on what we're doing online and how much we should be sharing online and things like that. So all right, before we get going, everybody
wait, is this after you posted an address on Twitter asking someone to come fight you again?
Did you do that, Anthony, again?
All right, listen, there's a difference in calling somebody's bluff and knowing they're not. But I went to bed thinking 7 people saw that, and I woke up and there was 25,000 impressions on it. And I'm like, whoa, delete this. Holy cow, that tweet blew up overnight, like insanely. I woke up this morning, I was like, what happened here? But
well, it's like, you back in school, you'd be like, in the parking lot, 3:30, there's gonna be a fight, everyone go watch. That's what you did. That's what happened online.
The thing is, this wasn't even a bait post. It was just like I saw somebody smash a statue of Our Lady, and
no way.
It's definitely a guy. No chick is that funny. There's no chance that's a girl.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But if it is a chick, Nick, you lock that down.
Yeah.
Ghost of Aunt Jemima. What?
So, it totally was my train of thought. Oh, that post. I saw somebody break a statue of Our Lady, and I was being honest. Like, if someone
did that in front of me, I'd probably throw a punch.
So
and
true.
Smashed a statue of Our Lady in front of me, I would feel okay punching that person at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
I would not confess it.
I might talk to the priest about it, because it's just a matter of what the intent of the person is to smash it. It's so if somebody smashes a statue of Our Lady in front of me, like that's I don't know. To me, that's a call for getting punched in the face.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that.
So that's all I wrote, and I was just being honest. Like, I do a lot of bait posts. That wasn't one of them. I was just
being
funny. You never know what's going to take off and
catch that post. You put an hour of thought into and be like, yeah, this one's gonna go big. 100 people see it.
Yeah, it goes nowhere. I think the algorithm knows when you're just firing something off versus, because the things that go viral are so odd. Like Kale that day with his backward hat post. Even I think it was just baseball hats in general got like 3 million views. But all right, so before we do anything, everybody please hit like and subscribe. Like, there's something going on with the algorithm right now. We have been stagnant with our subscribers, and a lot of you watch the show and aren't subscribed, and it's quite frustrating. We were getting anywhere from like 20 to 50 subs a day consistently for 2 years, and then like in the last 2 months it just plummeted, and we're getting decent views on the videos, but it's almost as if they're not new people seeing our stuff. So
Pretty similar
that
with our subs.
trying to break out of our echo chamber a little bit.
And then you go and say one or two bad things about Vegano, and boy, then we start to lose subs.
Criticizing Vegano is a touchy subject, and I thought we handled it very fairly. I don't think we went hard on him at all. Like, we were just saying he probably wasn't wise for him to jump into the American election conversation, you know. But that,
yeah, it was constructive criticism.
That's all it was. It wasn't
notice that neither of any of us called him like a schismatic or anything like that. We were like just like, yeah, maybe it wasn't the most prudential decision, but that's too much.
Yeah, guys, please come on, hit like and subscribe. Help this video go. So the conversation tonight is it's gonna be interesting. I think I'm interested to see Rob's thoughts and Nick's thoughts on what I've been thinking about it. So I guess we could start by playing the Amber clip, and we'll take it from there. So yeah, let's just play her clip, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, let me get it ready here. Here we go.
About this on my story the other day.
Hold on, let me make that louder.
About this on my story the other day because people are wondering why Max isn't in any of my videos, why I deleted the videos of Max and everything, because some people decided to make our lives hell for a while and target my husband and from my ministry because they didn't like what I was doing and they didn't want me to continue the ministry, so they decided to target my husband. So because of that, I had to protect my marriage. Of course, my vocation comes first. I love you guys, I love my ministry, but my vocation does come first. And the first thing I was like, nope, we're not doing this. So instead of giving them any new content to use against my husband or to use for whatever they're using it for, I decided to just remove any facial pictures of my husband off of my social media.
So I mean, it's a simple clip, you know.
My only real problem with that, with what she says there, is the ministry part.
Yeah.
If you're not ordained, you can't have the ministry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think she's got some old baggage hung up there, you know. Like I've heard other Catholics say things like that. Like, I would never call what we do a ministry.
No, I'm not ordained.
Yeah, it's like
not a minister.
Only the church properly has that ability. But that's not my only criticism there. So the thing is, I understand what people take issue with Amber. And a larger conversation, I think women don't understand what men see when they're posting selfies. So selfies in general are a very odd thing. Like, I'll tell the ladies right off the bat, like, if you're single and you are looking for a guy and you meet a guy and he posts selfies, like, I would say that guy loves himself too much to love you. Like, it's such an odd thing for a man to do. Men should not post selfies. But I understand why men, when they see
Anthony's trolling on Twitter as a ministry.
I understand why when men see women post selfies, they think it's narcissism, but men and women are very different. And a lot of those guys are single, and they really don't understand the female brain, where a woman posting a selfie may not necessarily be narcissism. It's more like, I'm doing these for my lady friends, you know what I mean? But it does come off as narcissism. It just does. It's like, because she's not posting anything inappropriate. She's posting mass fits, right? Like, she puts her mass outfit on and then she posts it. The thing is, if you're doing that for a small community, like, let's say you have a locals community, or let's say you have a private community behind your show, and you know it's a friendly audience and everybody actually, you know, they're paying extra.
She's not posting anything pornographic.
No,
whether or not it's inappropriate is a different question.
Well, the thing is, like I was saying, if it's for your private community, and for a woman like her, it's going to be mainly women watching her. It's like, yeah, you girls can share pictures of yourselves and stuff. There's nothing
like if I post pictures all the time in our private Telegram for the channel, right?
Yeah.
And it's because I'm chatting with my friends more than anything.
Yes, it's a private thing, right? So I actually took down, like, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I changed my profile pic on Twitter I used to have me and my wife as my profile pic, and I did that very intentionally. It was because I wanted people to know I was married, and it's, just to hold like myself accountable. It's like if somebody sees me speaking inappropriately to a woman, like, I'm married. That's I've never ever said anything to a woman online that I should not have said, that I wouldn't let my wife read. So that was the intention originally. But what happens is, when, especially doing some of the trolling I do, you're now putting your wife's picture up for thousands and thousands of strangers. And I've had ridiculous comments made to me about my wife,
especially around Halloween time. You
Yeah,
always post Halloween pics, and you always start something.
So look, this isn't something I've always held. This is kind of a development in my thought on this. Rob got caught putting a chapstick in front of the mirror, and just is that a reference?
True? Is this true?
That's Buffalo Bill from.
Oh, okay. I knew I was missing something there. I knew I was missing something there. So the thing with Amber is that, well, first of all the guys that are attacking her husband, like, I'm sorry, there's nothing harsher to someone than to have their spouse attacked. Like, like you're talking, somebody just made a comment about my wife. Their anonymous account made a comment about my wife, and I'm like, I want to go
basically threaten to kill him.
Yeah, like, I want to go and murder the person. And it's like, I get that she's a public personality. I get that she's putting the picture of her husband up, but I don't think any of us want to be on Judgment Day accountable for putting stress on someone's marriage. Like, marriage is such a holy and delicate thing that if anybody is going after her husband like that, like, you guys gotta think a little bit before you're doing it. Like, we live in this. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, especially because, like, doing this and like, she does it full time. Like, for us, it's still a hobby. Thankfully, it's not an expensive hobby anymore. But for her, it's full time, and like, doing this is hard on a marriage. It just is.
Yeah, this is how I kind of feel. It's like, all right, you guys could take issue with her, but like, I know some of the things they were saying to her husband, man, like calling him a cock and things like that. Now, look, the thing is, even for Amber, like, if you see your posting selfies is causing stress in your marriage, it's not just take your husband off. Like, you have to actually consider what you're doing.
Yeah, you didn't really root out the problem.
Right. It's like, I understand it's easy to just say these people are a-holes. It's easy to do that and not actually do any self-reflection. But if you're putting stress on your marriage, and all these anonymous young men are telling you they think a certain thing when you post these pictures, because they come off like thirst traps. Like, they come off like you're just feeding for attention, and you come off like an e-girl. Now, I'm not saying that's your intention in it, but it comes off that way. So if that is the case, you have to really think about, like she said in that video, like, my vocation comes first. It's like, well, if it really does, then you have to actually consider what you're doing. Look, you have 45,000 followers on Twitter. She has how many hundreds of thousands on TikTok? She's got a YouTube channel. It's like, you could still.
I thought her TikTok was blocked.
Oh, maybe she did lose it. Yeah. But regardless, you have this giant platform. You're doing your YouTube show. That's one thing. It's like, you have no choice but to be on the camera and stuff. But the mass fit pics, I think they're causing a lot of issues for everybody. Like, I just see everybody take shots at Amber because of her mass fit things, and it's just clearly an issue. So she has to consider stopping doing that. It's just too much. The other thing is, just the kind of world we're in now. It's so easy to forget there's a human being behind that avatar, right? And especially when you're anonymous. When you're anonymous, it's like, you could say the most vile freaking thing and think there's no consequence to it. Now, somebody
we all know why. Because the trads would absolutely castigate.
No, actually, I've been dressing nice for mass.
Oh, black jeans instead of blue jeans?
No. I wear slacks
that don't have holes in them.
I don't wear a suit. I'm never wearing a suit, but I do dress nice for mass.
Rip.
But in this age of anonymity, like, there's something to thing like when Jordan Peterson talks about like the narcissistic people that are behind anonymous accounts and just they want nothing but the pile on, right?
Yeah.
It's really dangerous to not fall into that when you're anonymous. I know somebody in our personal lives, he used to be online a public figure. He's not anymore. He backed off, but he's dating somebody, and the person he's dating used to be a leftist, and they are now converting to Catholicism and have right-wing views. Now, somebody in that person's private life found out about this and doxed her, and then doxed him to his boss. His anonymous Twitter was then sent to the HR department. So he's now dealing with
it's too bad his HR department isn't me, like at my company.
You're the HR department?
Yeah. I can't wait until someone calls my company to play.
It now makes perfect
and they get
sense.
me.
It makes perfect sense why Rob doesn't put up with Anthony's BS. It just makes or it's why he's so patient. He has to hear BS all the time from work.
The thing is, I work a job where there is no HR department. There is no getting me fired. Like if I actually got fired for something I said in my personal life on Twitter, if I ever got fired for something like that, like I could sue. Like my union would back me up, and I could say it's just there's no unless I said something so outlandish.
I was going to say, I bet your union has limits.
Yeah, I'd have to say something so outlandish, you know. So this person, he's like, dude, can you get me a job if they fire me? Like he's in a position where he may lose his job, you know. So I'm trying to figure something out for him right now. But it just goes like nobody ever knows who's going to get a hold of your information and put it out there. It's like we all have this this weird world we're in now, man, where everything's so digital and it's so easy to just put stuff out there. But the vanity angle of it, I mean, we've talked about this the last couple of shows, even for us, like building the channel and even this show with the clickbait. Like I knew it was a clickbait thumbnail and title, but I also knew like I had some serious things to talk about. And this wasn't about bashing Amber. It's more about like what you're doing when you have thousands of followers that you don't know is putting little bits of your life out there that they will then, when they don't agree with you, will go for those things that you treasure the most. Like, look at what happened to what's that freaking leftist?
Destiny.
Destiny, right?
Yeah,
so Destiny is out there and he puts it out all over the place that, oh, we have an open marriage. Now that girl winds up leaving him for the guy that they're doing it. And now Destiny can't go anywhere without them throwing that in his face. He's having a serious conversation with somebody and it just immediately goes, dude, you let somebody sleep with your wife. It's like, how do you live with that? No, I know you don't feel all that bad, but the point is, the more you share, the more they're going to turn that thing against you, right? So Amber is sharing pictures of her husband, and then these guys are coming after her. And now her husband also has to step up and tell her clearly what he feels comfortable with. Like he did marry a social media star. I mean,
yeah,
you know. So I don't know. What do you guys? I mean, I've been talking for a while. I haven't let you guys jump in.
Yeah, with Amber, I honestly have kind of like I've only ever heard like three types of conversations around her. The mass pics being one, her husband, and then also the thing which I'm more interested in, which is like the things that she actually says when she goes on these interviews and the positions that she tries to push forward. When it comes to her husband thing, I do agree with you 1,000%. Take a drink, everyone, because you're right. I look at some of the stuff that they say about him, and it's honestly like this. At the end of the day, y'all, what are Catholics? Catholics have to be disciples of the person of Jesus Christ. And Matthew chapter 12 is extremely clear that for even the slightest word that we say and the slightest action that we do, we will be judged for. And so like when people are just kind of going around castigating somebody without even knowing them, they haven't broken bread with them, they haven't shook their hand, they haven't had a conversation with them, that's rash judgment, right? And that's not cool. And I think that when you take a step back, we on the right have purity spirals. We've talked about this before. Like, the woke has their purity spirals of who can be the most woke. But we have the same too. It's not that we can't seek truth in right-wing views, but we have to be careful about how we treat other individuals when we're going down our own path of discovery, right? And that's one thing.
When it comes to discovery,
Yeah, when it comes to our past discovery, it's like even myself, it's like, I've been red pilled on some certain issues recently, but those weren't my real
chat.
big,
we're not getting into that right now.
But you know what I'm saying? My interests weren't really in that area. When it comes to her mass fit stuff, I agree with you. I think heck no. I'll get to Trent Horn in a second. Because he's in my my point I'm about to make. When it comes to her mass fit stuff, I agree with you, Anthony. I think she just has to be careful. It's sad.
I think she needs to stop. I mean, she needs to stop doing it.
Yeah,
she does. Like, well, look, I'm not trying to come down rashly on her. I'm not trying to jump out. Like, Amber, you got to stop doing that. Like, it's causing scandal, not because men can't control themselves around. It just you're not posting this in a group chat with your girlfriends. This is going out to thousands of young men on the internet, and it's causing too much controversy on the internet. And you have to take responsibility for some of the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah,
and it's causing problems in your marriage is the main thing.
I agree with you, and that's my point I was going to make is that it's sad that we're in a culture in which everything is so hypersexualized to where guys see immorality where there's not, and girls subconsciously post things which on the face of it aren't, open and out, as Rob said, like pornography, but can be taken that way. The third thing, then, this is where I'll end. My third point is that when it comes to the stuff that she generally pushes, she pushes the TLM, which is a cool thing. But obviously when it comes to some other things, I've seen her go on, for instance, Pints with Aquinas, and he decided to give her like 20 minutes for dating advice. And it's basically like, let's just trash every single Gen Z male possible. She basically did one of the whole things of, we want guys that approach us, but also don't approach us. We want guys that are genuine, but also don't show feelings. We want guys that show feelings, but not too much feeling. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of this ridiculous back and forth.
It was TikTok stuff.
Exactly. And what I, just ripped my hair out about is it's like Trent. He has Trent Horn on. He has Amber Rose on. We haven't had like Williamson on. You haven't had a society priest on. You haven't had where the real conversations are actually going. It's just all the normie crowds, and that's just Nick's.
No, well, the thing is, I have a position that I don't know if I could say objectively it's wrong, but my position on that is when Michael Knowles had that former porn star on. Michael Knowles is a handsome, attractive Italian guy. He's charming. You're talking to this 20-something-year-old young girl. There's no way you're not flirting with her. You're trying to make her laugh. There's something about making a woman laugh in a one-on-one conversation that is intimate, right? Now, Michael's a married guy. That whole conversation seemed off to me, So same thing with Matt Fradd when he talked to Amber. It's just you're having a conversation with a 20-something-year-old TikTok star, and you're it's. I'm not. I don't think
it's weird.
It's weird to me. Yeah. People were saying in the comments earlier, are you having Amber on? I don't think I'd ever have Amber on.
If it's not a conversation that would happen in your daily life, it probably shouldn't happen online either.
Yeah, it's just weird because again, it's okay. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to belittle her, but it's of all the guests that you can have on, why have someone who is so young? And you're a married man, that's just
and I don't want to imply anything here. I'm not implying anything here. I'm not saying it's this might be a me thing. I just don't see myself doing that. I don't want to put the image in people's heads that he did something wrong there.
Definitely not that. It just looks weird. The apparatus of how it looks is just kind of odd. And with all the guests that you could have on at the same time, it's kind of okay, why are we having multiple people from the people of the Old Covenant on, but we won't have controversial priests on? You know what I'm saying? We'll have priests that give the normie, they toe the line, they'll give the normie line, but that's about it. What's up, dude?
Look, I think that man, I don't know if I should say that.
We've already started.
Man, this is.
I can't throw you under the bus any harder.
This is a local show. This is not.
We disavow whatever Anthony's gonna say.
Hold on. I have a banner for that.
Oh yes, we haven't broken out the banner in a while.
This should not be on YouTube, man.
Wait,
So
no,
look.
not story time with Anthony. No, probably not the heresy one. Yeah, this one.
So what I've noticed with Matt is he has two different guest options he goes with. My daughter's calling me again. Oh man.
Yeah, she's seeing what you're saying about women.
Dude, she's pissed. I love Amber Rose.
Yeah, she watches religious.
I love Amber Rose.
That'd be funny.
Actually, for a good show, you do the opposite.
Well, no, I'm not going to say anything bad here. It's more of a bros chat that you have behind the locals.
We'll have it on locals, maybe.
All right, maybe I should.
Anthony said we're not doing locals tonight.
Well, that's the thing. We're not doing maybe we'll cut this one short and go over to locals. Maybe we'll make this like a 35-minute episode. We'll talk for another 10 minutes on this, and then we'll jump. All right, that's what I'll do. I'll tell my opinion on that over on the other side, because yeah, I actually was talking to somebody the other day about this very thing, about guests that Matt has on. So it's, I don't want it to be scandalous or anything. So yeah, the online thing, like I'm telling anybody right now that if you're going after Amber's husband, like you guys got to remember you're Catholic, man. Like you have to remember she's a human being. You have to remember that that's a marriage. You don't want to actually have to face God one day for interfering in a marriage. Like they're newlyweds too. And like those newlywed years, look, she's not doing herself any favors by doing all this, but it's also not our job to go and correct every single thing a person does wrong. There's a lot of times where I see people losing their minds on Twitter specifically, and I'm like, why don't you just scroll past that? Like just ignore it. Like if you're getting yourself worked up on Twitter and getting angry, you're doing it wrong.
While he gives out his address to someone to beat up.
But that wasn't out of anger. That was just because I knew the guy. I said that
the first time it was. And
the first time it was. Yeah. But look, I'm trying to grow. Okay.
I wish I was on Twitter whenever you did that. That would have been so funny.
What happened was I said I'll fight. I would punch somebody if they broke a statue of Our Lady in front of me.
No, he means the original.
And the guy said, he goes, no, you won't. You won't fight anybody. Give me your address and I'll come and do it in front of you. So I threw my address at him. You're not coming here. You know you're not coming here. Then I went to bed and I woke up and there was 25,000 comments on it. And everybody's like, bro, you just threw your address up here. Somebody posted a picture of the house. I was like, oh, okay, let's chill.
Yeah, like I said, that's how you get your whole family murdered.
Well, the other thing is, okay, so there's one other thing where she says, I have to protect my marriage. And that shouldn't be, because it should be the husband's job to protect the man. She didn't say protect my husband, which that would have been bad, right? If she had said, I have to protect my husband. She didn't. She said, I have to protect my marriage. And she does have to protect her marriage. So the thing is, like, when we talk about like wives submitting to their husbands and obeying their husbands, this is kind of the stuff we're talking about, where if your husband is uncomfortable with something, you ladies kind of gotta listen to your husband on this, So if she said her marriage went through hell in that clip, she's like, they put us through hell. Yeah, people are ruthless on the internet. Like they have no conscience because they are behind this anonymous account. So you do have to do a little bit of self-inventory and go, what am I doing wrong here? I used to post pictures of my kids. I used to post pictures of my wife. I don't do any of that anymore because like I wanted to post a picture. Me and Nicole went to let's put it this way. Rob posted a picture in a small group chat with me, Jason, and Mark the other day. And so me and my wife went to do
that was funny.
And I got a stain on my shirt, right? I got a stain on my shirt. So my wife wanted a picture. So when we're taking the picture, I kind of leaned over to hide the stain on my shirt. And Rob sends the picture of me and my wife with the lines. You ever see the green lines? And I'm leaned over, my wife's standing straight up. I was like, I go, Nicole, block him right now. Like
you have said that number like Anytime I pull a pic off of Facebook, you say that.
I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm like, this kid, I wanted to strangle you and you did that. I'm like, they think I'm leaning over like I'm a beta. I'll kill them. I failed the test.
But here's the thing. I knew not to go any further than to just
no, 100%. Yes, absolutely. You would never put that on Twitter. Like it was, but that's what kind of what
it
I'm
was
talking
tempting,
about.
But I knew not to.
It would have been co-sleeping times 8,000, bro. that would have been the end of avoiding Babylon. I'm telling you right now. That would have been a wrap right there. Because I woke up to it. Like you posted it late at night, and I woke up the next morning to it. I'm like, this mother, I'm gonna kill him. And I saw it was just the four of us. I was like, all right, if this kid put that anywhere else,
the last thing I did before I went to bed, I went to bed chuckling.
Dude, you have no idea how.
You guys got to send me this photo after.
I'll send it to you. But it was just funny because I knew no matter what explaining I did. Like I'm like, no, guys, you gotta understand. I had a stain on the shirt. Yeah,
the more you explain it, the worse it gets.
so then the thing with Amber, I almost tweeted yesterday. I said I actually did tweet it and I deleted it. I said, one thing you'll never hear my wife say is I have to protect my husband, because it was a cheap shot, and I deleted it. And Jason asked me why I deleted it. He's like, why'd you delete that? And I'm like, because I didn't want to add to the pile on. Like I like a marriage is a sacred thing, man. Like I don't want to add to the stress she's clearly going through. And then I kind of titled the show that. And Jason was like, dude, what? I'm like, all right, yeah, the thumbnail's there, but like that's not the conversation I wanted to have on the show tonight.
Plus,
right?
We did change the thumbnail.
Anthony says all this
because I'm favorite ghostly. No. Listen, I'll do, but even what we're doing, like I think if you're a public figure, you are open to criticism, right? So if I said to Rob, like if somebody took something Rob and I were saying and featured it and like this is what they got wrong, this is what they got wrong, this is what they got wrong, I have no issue with that. Like that's actually it's what men are supposed to do. And even if somebody else did it to me, I'd be totally fine with that. But if somebody didn't like something I said, so then they start trying to dig into my personal life and find my wife and my kids, it's like I've shared stories about my family online, and it's like that will turn on me one day. And it's dude, you don't want to mess with a guy's family, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's just in general, like unless their family is doing something out and about openly evil or inappropriate or something like that, just to kind of take cheap shots at somebody is not the greatest idea.
Yeah, and it is the internet, and it's not going to change, which is why look, if Amber does watch this, like you gotta stop with the selfies. Like I'm giving you this advice as an older person who's kind of looking in on this, and it's just I'm telling you what it comes off, because I don't think women understand what it looks like. Rob said like good pick. I don't think women understand what men see when you post something like that. Like we just see narcissism. And the funny thing is women do too. Like I've seen women who will see other women post something and they'll go, ew, I can't believe she posted that. Like, ew, look at her. She just thinks who the hell she is. And then comment on the freaking picture. Oh my gosh, you're so pretty. Now, women feed off that. Oh my gosh, you're so pretty. It's something that a lot of these young guys who aren't married yet don't understand about women. Like, it's just something girls do, man. Like they need what would that be called? Like
they need essentially self-esteem from given
from
to them
others.
by their friends.
Yeah. They need their
friends and guys.
But that's why I think it's okay with your girlfriends. Like I don't think that's an issue. But if you're putting this stuff out to 43,000 anonymous followers, you don't know who's looking at this stuff. You don't know who's watching. I saw. Look, they were ripping on her because she was barefoot in one of her pictures, and it's like they're saying, you know, this is like foot fetish stuff. It's like you can't just be throwing yourself out there like that and then be shocked when, oh, I'm praying for their souls because they're criticized. It's like, no, you have to take a little responsibility. Yeah, affirmation, perfect, Patrick. Yeah, like women need that affirmation, but all of this is vanity, though. Me getting on this show and thinking you guys want to hear what I have to say is vanity. Like, all is vanity. It's not. I'm not accusing her of something I'm not guilty of. It's all of us do this stuff. It's just you have to be careful. Like I don't know. I've posted things in the past that I should not have. I'm trying to take this a little bit more carefully, especially sharing private family stuff. Like, we started a family photo group in my family, like my siblings. I have 8 siblings, my parents. We started a family sharing thing there, so that, like, dude, I don't even use my personal Instagram anymore. I locked it down. I haven't posted a single thing on that thing in years. The only thing I'll post is clips from this show on the Avoiding Babylon channel, and I try to just keep everything on Twitter now where it's not too personal. I wanted to post a picture of me and Nicole when we went to that Halloween party. We went as Ragnar and Lagatha, but I'm like, no, like, somebody's gonna have something to say. It'll just be one of those things. Anthony's take on some woman and her drama is fire. So all right, so why don't we do this? Why don't we cut this one short, because I do have to get up early tomorrow, and we'll do a 35 minutes over on locals, and I'll give you guys my thoughts over on what I think happens when shows start to get bigger. And all of a sudden Ant gonna ask Rob about which Second Amendment and how much ammo he needs to buy. Yeah, look. We're putting Lagatha, not Agatha.
He's got a gun dealer friend in prison.
Dude, I told that on air, right?
Yeah, you told that on air.
Yeah, bro. One day we go into work, and there's 50 detectives at the yard, like 50 squad cars, and they got a search warrant. They're searching our entire yard. Like, what the hell is going on here? One of our mechanics was building ghost guns in our yard using our mechanic shop. Like, he was a mechanic. He would stay until like 2 a.m. working on the trucks, and then he would build ghost guns. The guy was building ghost guns and selling them in Pennsylvania.
Don't use the liberal language. Don't call them ghost guns.
But that's what they called it. So that's what he got in trouble for. Like, he was getting like different parts of guns shipped to his house in Pennsylvania, and then he would go pick the stuff up, and he would bring it, and he would assemble the guns.
He's doing what is legal in like 45 states.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's legal and natural. Ghost guns, by the way, they can be used on ghosts if people want.
So yeah,
Ghost of Ancient Mind might want to run.
380 on 128 likes.
Yes, they're not illegal guns. They're undocumented guns.
Yes, exactly. I'm going to ask once again, if this is your first time checking the show out, subscribe. If you watch us on occasion, please subscribe. Like, the subscribers help the algorithm, helps spread the show. We try to do something a little bit different over here, where we, try to talk a little bit more just like normal people and not put a persona on. So we're going to go on the other side. On the other side is where we really
let the hair down.
Yeah, we gossip over there, guys. So if you guys like gossip, that's where we go to gossip. So come check us out on the other side. It's $5 a month. I mean, come on. We're literally scrounging and begging for $5. Let's go. It's not that expensive.
Let me put the link in the chat real quick.
You guys spend that on a cup of coffee and you enjoy our show. We're going to go over there. When we're going to start cutting the YouTube show to 40 minutes, 35 minutes, and give it more to locals. I think that's what we need to do. Appreciate our locals. What was funny is the subs haven't been going up here on YouTube, but they've been going up on locals. People do like the locals a lot. I appreciate you guys. I subscribe to Nick Barry's Big. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
For all I know, you're just a syrup bottle out there. That's all I know.
Nick told me the other day he doesn't like syrup.
I don't, not really.
Don is so funny. He's like, why am I paying for locals? You guys never do locals. Like, we don't have the locals. We don't even like the locals show. All right, we're going over there. Rob, take us out. All right, wait. Closing thoughts. Yeah, I would say everybody needs to chill out with the going for personal attacks like that. Amber has me blocked, so maybe I said something to her one time or I upset her. I don't know. If
That's
I did,
probably because of Jason.
No, yeah, maybe. But if I ever said anything, Amber, if you watch this and if I ever said anything to upset you, I promise you I won't do that again. It's not cool.
Don't make that.
At
You can't say that about anyone.
I pray I don't. I pray I have the self-control to not do that. But yeah, everybody got to chill out. Like you got to remember there's a human being behind the especially the anonymous accounts, man. Sometimes I'm just like, bro, why am I arguing with somebody who doesn't have their name and their face up? It's like they'll say anything to get you going. So
sounds like a waste of time to me.
All right, she's giving me proof that she's a woman. Yeah, I want to see a pic. I'm not gonna
careful with that.
I'm not gonna set you up with Nick until I see pics. So all right, we'll see you guys over there. Rob, take us out, brother.